Have you ever found yourself, just completely frustrated trying to send money internationally?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
To family, maybe paying someone for work overseas.
Exactly. And you had those crazy fees, right? And the
Yeah.
forms. Oh my goodness, the forms. And then you wait for days just hoping it actually got there.
Yeah. It feels so outdated, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In a world where everything else is instant, money transfers can feel stuck back in the dark ages.
Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're doing a deep dive into how things are changing fast.
Right.
We're focusing on blockchain technology, specifically Ripple and its digital asset, XRP, and how it's really starting to reshape global finance. We've got two really interesting developments to unpack. One shows the practical, everyday impact on global payments.
Okay.
And the other highlights how it's gaining acceptance, serious acceptance, within traditional institutional investment circles.
That's right. Our mission today is, well, to get past the hype, really.
Yeah.
We want to understand how a major blockchain player like Ripple is actually building something concrete, like a financial superhighway.
Yeah.
And, maybe even more surprisingly, how a publicly listed company is now looking at XRP not just as, a speculative bet, but as a real strategic asset for their treasury.
A strategic asset.
And we'll
Right.
explore what these moves really mean for making transfers faster, cheaper, and what it signals about how digital assets are being viewed, longer term.
And to help us figure this out, we've looked at some really insightful recent articles. We'll be breaking down Ripple's expanded partnership with the payments firm, Thunes.
Big one.
Yeah. And then we'll dive into this, frankly, eye-opening story about VivoPower International. They're listed on NASDAQ, making a pretty significant investment in XRP.
Right. These aren't just random events. They feel like signposts pointing towards a pretty big shift happening.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it. So maybe starting with the problem, the current state of international money transfers. Even with all the tech we have, it's still messy.
Fragmented is a good word. And expensive.
Exactly. Think about sending money from, say, London to a small town in, I don't know, Philippines. It all bounces between several banks, right? Each takes a cut, maybe a currency conversion fee.
Adds up quick.
It really does. And there are delays at each step. It's not just annoying for lots of people. It's a genuine barrier. Makes sending money home or getting paid for freelance work way harder than it needs to be.
And that's exactly the problem that this bigger collaboration between Ripple, the U.S. blockchain company, and Thunes, the Singapore payments firm, is trying to fix.
Right. They started working together back in 2020, but this is a step.
Yeah, it's an expansion.
Yeah.
And their goal is, well, ambitious, but also pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Make international transfers way better.
By combining Ripple's blockchain tech with Thunes' huge payout network.
They're aiming big, too, targeting over 90 markets. That addresses a massive need for faster, cheaper cross-border payments.
And it's not just for developed countries. This is really critical for emerging economies where, traditional banking might be limited.
Yeah.
These services can be a lifeline.
So tell us about Thunes' side of this. They have this smart superhighway. Sounds impressive.
It is pretty impressive, actually. Think of it like a massive web connecting banks, mobile wallets, card providers all over the world.
Okay.
Their direct global network covers over 130 countries, handles more than 80 currencies.
Wow.
And reaches something like 3 billion mobile wallets and 4 billion bank accounts. The promise is instant cross-border payments. Makes the world feel a lot smaller financially speaking.
Okay, so Thunes has the network, the reach. What's Ripple bringing to the table specifically?
Ripple's bringing the tech to grease the wheels, essentially. Their blockchain is being integrated to really improve two key things: liquidity management and settlement efficiency.
Right, liquidity and settlement. Can you break those down a bit?
Sure. Liquidity management is basically making sure the right amount of money in the right currency is in the right place at the right time. Avoids delays and extra costs.
Gotcha. So the money's ready to go.
Exactly. And settlement efficiency just means the actual final transfer of funds happens way faster and more reliably. Ripple's platform has already handled, I think the figure is over $70 billion in volume, so it's proven.
So Ripple provides the smarts to manage the money flow within Thunes' big network.
That's a good way to put it. Thunes built the roads. Ripple provides the smart traffic control system, making sure the liquidity is always flowing optimally.
Okay.
And a really key integration point is with Thunes' SmartX Treasury system. That's crucial because it manages all that liquidity and allows payouts in local currencies.
Ah, the local currency payout. That sounds important.
It's huge, especially for places where mobile wallets are king. Think M-Pesa in Kenya, GCash in the Philippines. WeChat Pay in China.
Right, where people might not even have a traditional bank account. Their phone is their financial hub.
Precisely. For millions, those wallets are their bank. So this partnership isn't just tech for tech's sake. It's genuinely boosting financial inclusion, democratizing access.
That's fascinating. And, given the history and some skepticism around digital assets, what about compliance? How does Ripple handle that?
That's clearly a major focus for them. They publish proof of reserves reports, they get independent audits. They're really trying to be transparent.
Building trust.
Exactly. It helps distinguish them and tackles those concerns about, shady practices or fake volume you sometimes hear about in the crypto space.
So this partnership feels like part of a bigger trend, combining new tech with old rules.
I think so, yeah. You're seeing more firms blending blockchain innovation with the regulatory expectations of traditional finance, finding that sweet spot between disruption and, grown-up behavior.
So wrapping up this part,
Yeah.
what does this Thunes Ripple partnership mean for you listening?
Well, hopefully it means cheaper, faster, more reliable ways to send money overseas, whether it's for family, business, whatever.
And bigger picture, it's about expanding financial access globally, bringing more people into the formal economy. That's a powerful shift.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've seen how Ripple Tech is aiming to smooth out everyday global money movement. But what about the big players, the institutions? Are they starting to see digital assets differently?
That's the next really interesting piece. We're shifting from practical payment solutions to growing institutional interest. And the big story here is VivoPower International.
Right, the NASDAQ-listed energy company, what have they done?
They've made a pretty bold move into XRP finance. They announced an initial Treasury deployment of $30 million through a platform called Doppler Finance.
$30 million. Wow.
And that's just phase one. They have a plan for a much bigger allocation, potentially up to $200 million. This isn't just dipping a toe in, it's a serious commitment.
Okay, $30 million now, maybe $200 million later. That's huge for a public company. And they're noted as one of the first publicly listed firms to set up this kind of institutional framework, specifically for earning yield on XRP.
Exactly. It's not just buying and holding, hoping the price goes up. They're actively using their XRP via Doppler Finance to generate returns for their corporate treasury. Kind of like how they might use traditional short-term bonds or other instruments.
Using it as a working asset.
Precisely. In fact, VivoPower's CEO, Kevin Chen, actually called XRP a cornerstone treasury asset. That's incredibly strong language for a digital asset from a CEO of a listed company.
Cornerstone treasury asset. That really signals a shift in perception, doesn't it? What about the platform they're using, Doppler Finance? How does that work?
The key thing they're emphasizing is institutional-grade design. It's all about risk controls that big companies need, things like qualified custody.
Meaning someone regulated holds the assets.
Exactly. And segregated accounts, so VivoPower's funds aren't mixed with anyone else's. Plus, real-time proof of reserves for constant transparency.
Okay, so maximum security and visibility.
Right. The focus is clearly on security, transparency, standardization. Not just chasing the absolute highest, potentially riskiest yield. It's about building trust, using practices familiar from traditional finance.
Which makes total sense for a public company answering to shareholders. Is there a geographic angle to this too?
There is, yeah. South Korea is apparently a very significant market for XRP. Estimates suggest maybe 20% of the global supply is held there.
20%.
And Doppler Finance has a strong presence in South Korea, so it looks like a targeted move, likely tapping into that market depth.
Interesting. And this VivoPower development, it's not happening in isolation, right? There's other stuff going on in the Ripple ecosystem.
Definitely not in a vacuum. It lines up with other signs of XRP moving more mainstream.
Like what?
Well, for example, the crypto exchange Gemini recently launched a credit card that offers rewards in XRP. Brings it closer to everyday consumers.
Okay.
Then there's the ongoing buzz about a potential spot XRP ETF, an exchange-traded fund.
The ETF talk. That would be big, wouldn't it? Letting people invest via traditional brokers.
Hugely significant. It would open the doors for a lot more institutional money and basically act as a regulatory stamp of approval. It's still just talk, but it's persistent talk.
And beyond investment vehicles, what about the underlying tech, the XRP ledger itself?
That's seeing growth too, especially in what's called real-world asset tokenization, or RWA.
RWA tokenization, like putting real things onto the blockchain.
Pretty much. Taking assets like real estate, art, maybe even company equity, and representing ownership as digital tokens on the ledger.
What's the point of that?
It can make traditionally illiquid assets easier to trade, allow for fractional ownership, increase transparency, basically makes them more efficient to manage. And the market value on the XRP ledger for RWAs reportedly jumped significantly, like from $130 million to over $300 million in just a couple of months last year.
That's rapid growth. Shows the ledger has uses beyond just payments.
Exactly. And all this momentum, Gemini, the ETF possibility, RWA growth, probably gave VivoPower more confidence in their move.
So what's the XRP market itself looking like amidst all this, price-wise?
Well, according to the sources we looked at, XRP was trading around $2.84.
Yeah.
It had seen some small recent gains, but also a dip over the past week.
Pretty volatile, as expected.
Yeah, but year on year, the gain was huge, something like 399%. Technical analysis mentioned support around $2.70 and resistance near $2.90 and $3.
Okay, so standard market stuff. Obviously, none of this is investment advice.
Absolutely not, just context. But this dynamic market, combined with the infrastructure build-out and maybe clearer regulation, is what institutions like VivoPower are now navigating.
So here's the really interesting part for me. What does it mean when a company like VivoPower, public, regulated, starts treating XRP like this, like a cornerstone treasury asset?
It speaks volumes, doesn't it, about trust, about the potential for these technologies to become, well, normal parts of finance, not just niche experiments.
It feels like more than just maturation. It's like they've created a blueprint for how traditional companies can actually use digital assets in a way that manages risk, generates returns, and fits within their existing financial controls.
That's a great way to put it. Turning something potentially speculative into a compliant, potentially yield-generating part of the balance sheet. That's a major signal about perception at the corporate level.
It really blurs the lines between traditional finance and digital assets.
It really does.
Yeah.
These are concrete examples of that integration happening right now.
Okay, so let's pull these threads together. We've looked at Ripple and Thunes working to make global payments smoother, faster, cheaper, especially crucial for mobile-first economies. Real financial inclusion potential there. And then on the other side, we have VivoPower's major, carefully structured investment in XRP, signaling growing institutional confidence. That's happening alongside broader ecosystem growth, like RWA tokenization and maybe even ETFs down the line.
Yeah, these two stories really show that blockchain innovation isn't just theory anymore. It's actively changing things, both for everyday users sending money and for big corporations managing their treasuries.
It's not if anymore, but how fast and how far it goes.
It seems that way.
So that brings us to a final thought for you, our listener. As digital assets like XRP push further into the mainstream, both for global payments and institutional investing, what new possibilities do you see opening up? And what challenges might arise? What part of this evolution are you watching most closely?